Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now typically when I do a video on the US or US politics, it doesn't really do so well. However, by the time I release this, it's looking like Donald Trump is going to be returning to the White House. If we take a look at some of the Associated Press numbers currently, Trump is at 248, Harris is at 214, and it was just announced that Trump just won the swing state of Georgia. So with all that being said, it's looking like the numbers are probably more in his favor. But the reason I wanted to do a little bit of coverage on this was as I was watching the media, the Canadian media, cover this, as they're all in Washington currently, uh, their bias really starts to ooze out. And we all know about their bias here in Canada when they're covering Canadian politics. But to see it with the American was a little bit surprising. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about.
All right, we're back in Washington, D.C. With Jackson Prosco, our Washington bureau chief, and Cliff Young from Ipsos has rejoined us. Hi there, Cliff. So I wrote down at 10:15 Eastern time when you suggested that things were leaning, you didn't predict, and we were careful not to predict, but leaning towards former President Donald Trump. There is no official call yet, and the numbers that we're looking at right now for the Electoral College, 230 for Trump, Harris 210. Is it your estimation that it's still far too close to call?
I think it's leaning Trump still.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I think the data suggests that. Obviously, the swing states, especially the blue wall, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania are very, very close. And the urban areas still have to come in. They tend to be more Democratic, but once again, Harris is underperforming relative to Biden in 2020.
And is that partly because we haven't seen some of those big city counts yet?
Yeah, some of it's going to be that. I think there will be a narrowing. I expect that. I think the popular vote will be very close to parity, whatever that might mean. A little bit on Harris's side, a little bit on Trump's side, most probably. But no, there will be a narrowing because of the urban areas.
What are you seeing so far that surprises you in this vote count?
Yeah, it's always such a sort of impressive thing to see the will of the people express itself and realize itself. And I was reflecting a bit back in the green room about what it all meant. And obviously, we talked a bit about inflation. It really is about inflation. It's really that sort of very traditional circadian rhythm between more of the same and throw the bums out. And I think we're in the throw the bums out moment. I think the American populace is basically telling elites that they are suffering, that you didn't understand our plight, and we're going to express our will in this way.
What an absolutely crazy concept that is. People aren't enjoying the way that they're struggling through life, so they make that known with their vote. It's as if that's what democracy is, right? Now, to be fair, I don't have a problem with this guy. He's pretty much saying it as it is. He kind of goes with the stats, with his polls. It's the anchor, the female anchor, that you're going to see what I'm talking about.
And I think we need to reflect on that a bit. I don't want to take more out of what we're seeing now because we don't have a final call or a result. But it's very impressive what's happened thus far. And I think the pre-election polling kind of painted that picture. A picture of a population that was in angst, that was suffering, was having problems making ends meet, and a population that really believes the system is broken.
Well, and is part of that also because that has been Donald Trump's campaign message for 471 days, right? That this country is broken, that it's never been this bad before, that inflation is through the roof, that crime is up. A lot of things that frankly aren't true. Inflation has come down. Crime is not the worst it's ever been. A lot of things he said that simply aren't true, but people have taken them as gospel.
And frankly, this is a lot of what we hear in the Canadian media, where they tell us that we've never had it so good. The liberals love to say inflation's at its lowest. Yes, people are struggling with housing and groceries, but the economy's booming. We are the envy of all the G7 nations and all that stuff. This is liberal propaganda. This is democratic propaganda. People live in these places where the crime rate is up. Why do you think so many vehicles are being stolen? Why do you think so many houses are being broken into? We have here in Canada the police telling you just leave your keys by the door, so if somebody breaks in for your car keys, it's right there and they don't have to go through your house to get to them or hurt you. They can just grab them off the shelf there. Like, yes, crime is an issue, and especially in New York or all these places where there are sanctuary cities like Chicago, New York. They're having all of these migrants flooding these areas. Crime is on the rise. Things are becoming unaffordable, even housing. Like, the fact that she can say that, it's just mind blowing to me, because that's the propaganda that she's talking about. The reason Trump has been talking about it, and just like Pierre Poilievre, I'm not saying they are the same, but Pierre is also talking about how broken our country is because of these exact things. We have this terrible bail reform system, catch and release. As I said, in New York, the migrants are beating up police and then getting out scot-free.
Burma, 6 men have been charged in connection to that brutal attack caught on camera, and the NYPD is still looking for more suspects.
2 of a dozen migrants accused in a vicious Midtown attack over the weekend appeared in court Thursday and stepped with droves of NYPD officers in a show of support for 2 of their own, pummeled on camera Saturday evening.
New video is sparking even more outrage over the group of migrants accused of attacking 2 New York City police officers. That's what you're looking at on the left hand of your screen. Those guys were freed without bail. And now look at this. Here's one suspect flipping the bird to the cameras. He could care less. Another blows kisses as he smiles and laughs. The other suspect next to him also putting up the middle fingers and cursing at those reporters.
Again, in the States, where housing is much cheaper than it is here in Canada, that is still unaffordable for people.
New data shows a growing portion of the U.S. is becoming unaffordable for people looking to buy a home.
Anyone looking to buy a home right now is facing a double challenge amid the Federal Reserve's efforts to slow inflation.
According to a new report, the impact of rising interest rates on new mortgages has put home ownership beyond the reach for many.
Now, you could clearly see some of those clips were taken from Fox News. Some of those clips were taken from CBS. And that's going to be very important because of what they're about to say in this upcoming portion.
I would say yes and no. And so I would say yes, and Ipsos research, Ipsos polling has shown that part of it is about being in a bubble. Being in a media bubble, only hearing certain narratives and messages. We find that individuals that listen exclusively to conservative media are much more likely to believe the economy is in a dire place versus those that don't. That's true. But people really are suffering. People really are having problems making ends meet. The cost of living is high, and there's certain segments like less affluent Americans, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, and younger Americans that really are still having problems making their household finances work.
Now, this comment kind of pissed me off because he's making it sound like if you're just ingesting conservative type media, then this is the mindset that you have, this is the belief you have. But then in the next breath says, but this actually is the case. People aren't able to afford things. People are struggling. People can't make ends meet. So you're trying to blame it on their consumption and their bubble that they live in via the media that they're consuming, but then also admitting that that is the factual case of people's lives today. So it's like, why say one thing and then the other that contradict itself? And for him to go on and say people who just ingest conservative media and not the other side. How many people on the other side, say Democratic or liberal, are consuming, say, conservative or Republican media? Because I highly doubt the people who are watching ABC, MSN, NBC, CBS, any of those people, even The View, a lot of people get their information from The View. I highly doubt they're watching Fox News or any other kind of Republican media. So would you not say that they're also in this bubble or this mindset? Like, it just really, really irritated me hearing him say that, because he just contradicted himself in the same sentence. But then as the panel continues to talk, they basically describe what's happening in Canada as well.
Fair enough.
I mean, it strikes me that there's been talk about the economy and then the economy. And if you've listened to the Biden administration and Joe Biden specifically, they've been saying the economy is doing great because the stock market is up and, jobless rates are really low. But that's not the economy people at home are talking about. And in fact, it only seemed like Kamala Harris, near the end of her campaign, really said, look, I am actually talking about kitchen table economic issues like price gouging and grocery prices, right? But that was late in the campaign.
Yeah, that was very, very late, and ultimately it was elites talking down to people. The stock market's going up, but most people don't have money there, right? The economic numbers look good, but I'm not really feeling it. We did a lot of focus groups that basically showed that people, one, were suffering, and were basically saying to the Biden administration, why are you telling us that we're not suffering when we're actually suffering? And so I really think this was a disconnect. I think the coastal elites didn't understand it. And if the results are what we think they might be, I think this will be a big takeaway.
That's not dissimilar to 2016, right? When Hillary Clinton got it wrong, too, right?
Yeah, but that is America today. I mean, the tale of two Americas is a tale of red America and blue America, but it's also a tale of elites and non-elites. That's who we are, and that's the clash that we see kind of play out before us now.
And the sad reality is we don't even have to talk about elites. We just have the one guy who thinks he's the king of the castle. He can do whatever he wants. And we've never had it so good. People talk about how much they struggle and they say they keep listening. It's been over 9 years, buddy. You're not doing a great job of listening. Now, in Kamala's defense, she just kind of got into this role a few months ago. It is something she chose. So yeah, if she's deciding to talk about this a little bit too late, tough luck. You guys should have got Joe Biden out of the way earlier. But that's how out of touch and disconnected these individuals are from just general people. They're at a status where they don't understand the struggles. When these guys are making, 300K a year, Prime Minister of Canada is making over $400,000 a year. Plus the guy's, got his trust fund and he's rich and he's loaded, so he doesn't really care. These guys have no connection with the quote unquote common people. And yeah, they are of the elite status and they like to say, oh yeah, we know what it's like and we know the struggle that you guys are dealing with, but that's not the case. They will continue to do anything they can to keep their power, keep their money, just like Jagmeet. He wants that pension. We have liberal members who are utilizing the $10 a day daycare program so he can save tens of thousands of dollars a year.
We think of now the Early Learning and National Daycare Plan, where in the province of Ontario, fees have been reduced 52.7%, and working in collaboration with the Progressive Conservative government in Ontario, we will see $10 a day daycare on average by September of 2025. And we know it's working, Madame la Présidente, because my daughter's in daycare and we've seen a reduction where our family, who is blessed with much, and I have much gratitude for our blessings, have seen over $10,000 in after-tax savings. Those are real savings for families.
Like this program and those spots that he's taking up, they're not for people like him. He can afford a regular daycare. Why is he putting his kid in the $10 a day program? It's just mind-blowing. But as always, this is my opinion on everything. Love to hear from you guys. Let me know if you're surprised with the results of the election, depending if they're concrete or not. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.